ask for Catholics to come forward, Presbyterians. He's not going to ask for the group to come forward. You is who he's going to ask to come forward. Therefore, the idea that in order to make it to heaven, or in order to live saved, or in order to be godly lies within a specific religion, that's not true. That's cultish.
So, all right, I got a question for you, Hillary, because I have my own thoughts on this. What do you feel about the mega churches?
Mega churches.
Since you brought up the cult thing, I'm like, the mega churches.
I don't think mega churches are cultish. I think a lot more of the smaller ones are more cultish than mega, because mega gives you
Your
right. They give you tools to live by. They're not trying to be controlling. They're not trying to make you come to their church. They're not trying to say that if you go to another church, because they don't have to, because they're not reliant upon 1 to 20 to 100 to 300 people. They are self-sustaining because they know what they deliver, and their leaders focus on improving themselves so that they can help people. So I think a lot of the mega churches give you opportunity to be an individual. When the smaller churches, a lot of them suck the life out of you, because you've got to pour into the church in order for the church to be sustained.
There we go. That's the thing, man.
You know, I mean, come on now. Like, if there was 5,000 men alone around Jesus, that wasn't even counting the women and the children. So if his group was that large on a regular, just following after him, what makes you think the crowds ain't supposed to be large like that?
Well, on me, though, I've never had good experiences with large churches. Only because...
Why is that, Brandon?
That's because, you know, if you go to the pastor, the shepherd for consultation or guidance, and he's like, so who are you again? Type of thing, like, where they go. If you don't know me, how are you supposed to help me? How are you supposed to help me now?
That's a preference thing, though. That's you wanting a closer, connected relationship with your leader, your spiritual leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you know.
I just gave him all my pinball money.
Too, Brandon, that is a learned culture preference, because if you really think about it, why do you need to be close to your spiritual leader? Because we have culturally been attracted to that type of relationship, because we've been told that that's what your leader should do, or how your leader should be. Now, going back to what you said earlier with slavery and things like that, we are still carrying on some ideas that are not biblical at all. Wasn't nobody close to Moses like that. Wasn't nobody close to Jesus like that either.
But we're supposed to be close to God, though.
God, right.
We can be close to God, but we don't need to be close to the man.
God ain't the same as your pastor. That's two different people. Two different things.
It's a cultural thing, because we've grown up to learn and understand that that's important. That relationship is important. However, but I want y'all to look at this too.
I want my Mr. Miyagi. I can't have my spiritual Miyagi.
Who said
where's my spiritual Miyagi?
No, we just said it was a preference. And you can have it however, have it your way. It's Burger King.
That's what I want.
Did you hear me? I said, wags on and wags off.
Wags up, man. It's Burger King, Brandon. You can have it your way. If you like a close pastor, get one, sir. But that ain't really a reflection of the church. That's you and the preference you decided that you like, and you need to go and find that.
Okay, because I don't want to be in a mega church where my section is like G7 and it's
No.
like, it's stadium
Yeah, but
seating.
why? Why does that bother you though? Why
No.
does it bother you?
I wanna
It
be able to
bothers
go
me
and-
because
and I have to worry about nothing else. Like,
What?
I would love to have gone to a mega church because I could go and I can worship in my own way. And I
so
could
why go?
and I could still have my own personal relationship without people being in my
Because
relationship.
you still need to assemble. You still need to assemble. You still need to have that ability to be able to come together and to.
Okay.
We were
All right,
not meant
so
to be alone.
now I said this on part 1 where my preference was Bible study because I like to ask questions. And in the mega church, who am I supposed to ask? The person next to me?
Listen,
But
so
that's
you-
why you need to go to Bible study.
right. No,
Sunday morning ain't for your question. Unless
Sunday-
you go to Sunday school.
Okay. So
You
then
go
then what am I going for?
morning,
I want to ask questions.
if you
If
want to
I-
ask what
come on
look,
Tuesday night.
Then you need to go to school.
Brandon,
Cool.
Brandon,
Go to school.
you yeah,
No,
like
no.
you
I don't
can't
want any
listen.
situation where I can't ask questions. If they
Listen.
say something, and I want to be able to go,
Brandon,
hey, I
listen,
gave you $10. Well, I have a question. I
Brandon,
want to do that.
You
Yes.
caught up on that money.
if you can't,
I pay tuition. Can I ask a question?
Brandon,
What?
if you can't get mad at the church if you show up at a time where they're not taking questions. How you gonna get mad at the go when they're taking the question? If that's all that.
You're right. That's what I started doing. I stopped going. I stopped going for the Sunday show, and I started going when I can ask questions.
They've given you an itinerary. You know what times the questions are being asked and answered. So
You're right, and I went to those, but then they want to push. You coming on Sunday? Y'all ain't answering questions on Sunday.
Yeah,
Y'all answering.
Listen,
Y'all answering questions on Sunday?
Look, you're getting mad at them over a preference you have, and you going against the preference. If you know you like questions, stop showing up at the times that they don't have them.
All right, but you know what though? How about the guilt trip you get for not coming on Sunday if that's not when they're answering questions?
Why would they not invite you to come at the other events and that they're having?
It's not about inviting. I said the guilt trip with it. Like like at the very minimum, you're supposed to be there Sunday morning. When you come to choir rehearsal, which I was there, when you come to Bible study, which I was there, Sunday is game day. That is the showtime. They want you there on Sunday morning.
No, they just want you to be there, period. You look, they want you to just show up. If they can get you to come
On Sunday.
can I say this?
they want you to show up, and you're speaking like a blanket.
Can I say
like
this?
a blanket assumption. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Brandon, you could go to church on Sunday through Sunday. Whichever day of the week that you want to go, you could go.
Oh.
But my whole thing is like, there's some people who have like spiritual leaders, like spiritual, just people that they speak with and talk with about.
They got their Miyagi. I got you.
Right. If you have questions, which is one reason why why people assemble, you can have a spiritual partner, like somebody that it's like, hey, I didn't get that. Did you? Oh yeah. Well, you could talk to somebody, and I'm not just talking about anybody, and you know what I mean when I say that. I'm not talking about just anybody in the crowd. I'm talking about somebody who is they could be a minister, they could be a deacon, they could be, somebody that has studied the Bible and has been there. Maybe.
Yeah. Which I've had those people, but they've always been outside of church though. Now they've been associated with churches,
okay.
but all that's been there though.
That's okay that they're outside of the church. It's okay as long as they're spiritually guiding you. They're not trying to hurt you, harm you, or trying to manipulate your views. Like especially if you guys hold the same views because you're in the same religion, whatever the case may be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whenever I have questions or concerns about anything, I'll ask Hillary, I'll ask my mom, like, you know what I mean? Or I'll ask my grandma, I'll call my grandma and I'll talk to my grandma about it, but those are also people that I know that hold the same views as me, and that I can go to, and I know that they're not going to misguide me. They would uphold the word of God. So it's like, okay.
And they're not in it for any other reason than your growth.
Right. So, I mean, I can go to church and I can hear the word of God. And I, like with a mega church, it's so nice to go in and sit down and just worship. You don't have to worry about anything else around you. I don't know about you, Brandon, but I grew up in a church where the pastor knew your name. So if you was cutting up, you wasn't paying attention, you weren't in service, you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing, he is calling you out. And if you down and he is not preaching, he will get up on the mic and he will call you out.
Cool.
I've been called out.
So all right. So I've been in a church like that, and very, 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 very early on, because I had a friend of mine I worked with who became a great friend of mine, and he jump started my spiritual journey when I became 19, and he brought me in. Cool. And very early on, I established a relationship with the pastor to say, hey, if you do some shit I don't like, I'm not showing up. And he would guilt other people into things, and he would call them out on stuff. But when it came to me, he didn't approach me that way. Because early on I said, hey, look, if you come at me extremely aggressive in a negative way, I'm not showing up. And I was like, hey, look, I'm 19. For the first 19 years, I wasn't there, not because of my own choice. It was my parents. But I don't have a problem finding my spirituality somewhere else. And he just didn't treat me in the same fashion that he even treated at the time having a wife. Like he would guilt her into coming. But when it came to me and things in the church, and I would volunteer. I was there religiously. I was there, holding a position in the church and putting in 4 days a week. But he did not approach me in the same thing. 4 days.
I had 6.
4. I got you. I wasn't doing that. It was not, and he knew not to even ask or press. I wasn't, because I just won't be there at all. So it was what my presentation to him was, I'm going to put in on this as much as I want to dedicate to this. You're not going to push me any further than that. At that time,
I did not have a choice.
Okay.
I did not have a choice. Even when I became the age of thinking that I should have a choice in choosing.
Uh-huh.
I gotta go to work. That was my excuse. I have to go.
There we go. My pastor told me to quit my job so I could show up more often.
Hey,
yep.
Speaking of that
ain't the job for you. If you can't be here, that's not the job for you. That was, but the money,
the money. To that where I was working overnight, and what was happening was I would work Saturday night into Sunday morning, and I was trying to
stay awake in church on Sunday.
Yeah, I would leave work, get dressed.
Stay awake. Try to stay awake.
Brandon, I can't.
Hey, I'm sorry. There's a lot of church hurt on this end.
I would leave work, get dressed, go straight to church and sing, and then I'm falling asleep by the time sermon is coming because I'm out of it because I worked all night. And I remember talking to First Lady about it, and she told me, well, sometimes you got to make sacrifices. And so when she said that to me, I didn't say anything back, but in my head, what I said was, in my head, what I said was, you're the sacrifice I'm going to make. And
Boom.
at that point, that's when I start setting boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Take your power back.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, though, my mom will always say, it's your responsibility to see that you're fed spiritually. So, I had to reach out and seek God in other ways, but that was no longer in that moment. I've never let them make me feel like that ever again. I will be there in the flesh when I feel like I need to be there in the flesh.
Well,
There it is.
Because I didn't have that choice either.
Well, I was an adult. I was a full-grown adult.
Full ass adult saying, "Hey, look."
As a kid, I ain't had no choice. That's a whole nother thing. I had no choice as a kid.
I told there was my pastor. I had first off, he didn't want me to get my own place. He wanted me to stay at home until I got married. But
Church. God,
But I decided to get my own place. And
can you imagine if you would have stayed home?
No, I can't.
The way you got thrown down those steps.
Yeah, I got my own place.
Gabby, not your friend.
I was not, Jan. So
damn,
I had a situation happen, and
okay.
My sister, because I lived with my sister at the time. My sister told my mom. My mom told my pastor. My pastor called me on the phone.
Oh, church gossip is his own church hurt. Go ahead.
And he told me that he wanted to see me. Now, at this time, my pastor lived in Ithaca, New York. He wanted to see me. And I told him, I said, Bishop, I cannot show up. I was like, I have to work. I cannot take off work this late a notice. He told me, just wait. What was that, Sherelle? What did First Lady say to you?
You got to make sacrifices.
And I said, Bishop, I can't afford to lose my job. And he said to me, if you love God, you'll show up. And I said,
oh, heck to the no.
No.
What do you say to that? Like, what do you say to that? Because
say you want a percentage of the collection plate.
I understand, but in my mind at the time, I'm like 20 years old, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I do love God, I do love Him, but I cannot afford to lose my job. Like, that is one thing I can't do because I have everything else that's riding on that. Like, so he hung up on me, and then his wife called me, and I spoke with her for a little while.
Oh shit.
And at the end of that conversation, she told me, she said, you need to be obedient to what your pastor told you. And I said, okay. And that's where it ended. And
see.
But for me, I did not let that.
I'm so angry right now for you. Because you know what? They be the ones that tell you to quit your job and still want you to put in the collection plate. It makes sense.
But for me, where that went left for me, that was the last conversation that I had with my pastor before he passed. So for me,
All right.
that hurt to me. That hurt a lot. But, it took time to get over that because, I found out some things, you heard some things, blah, 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 blah,
Oh, there's
whatever.
always some things.
Mm-hmm.
Always some things.
He was going through it just like the rest of us, and I can't hold that against him. He
Yep.
is a human being. He was going through some things, and I don't hold that against him because we all go through something. Like, we all go through something in life. So for me, I don't hold that negatively against him because me and him had a really good relationship. We had a really good relationship up until that point, and but such is life. But it's things like that because I have grown to understand. I became an adult at that point, and now where I'm at, having my own child, like, I can understand a lot more and have better understanding of some things. But I don't know. I can't condone everything.
So it's a question to all y'all, okay? And I definitely understand the story. This is a follow up when you of course you're saying you're finding out different things about experiences in your pastor's life. I don't like the holier than thou mentality, so I prefer, of course, when pastors are very honest about when they're honest about their journey as a human and the things they contend with and lifestyles they've led. I prefer that. What are y'all thoughts on that one? And like, do y'all prefer that? Do y'all like to see that the pastor's better in their decisions? Like, what do y'all prefer on that regard?
What you mean?
All right, so do you like to have the pastor that used to be a drug dealer or the pastor that has always been this great pillar of their religion?
I don't really care. I personally don't like when pastors share too much of their lives,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like this. First of all, shouldn't nobody be judging nobody because you don't know when or what. You know what I mean? You don't know what. We don't need to know too much about the pastor because we don't need to be knowing his business, because then that opens up for people to
use it against them.
Right. And then not only that, but then that limits people in their growth as well. Because if you're an influence and you're a leader and people know like you went through all of this stuff. So if they did too, then that's just limiting them just to stay right here. Like, you got to take the lid off and keep the lid off. You can't put a lid on everything. So I don't too much care for, I praise God for some people that the things that they've been through and made it through, but I don't personally want to know your business. I don't want to know your business because I don't want to be trying to compare my life or justify what I'm doing based upon what you done did, because God ain't gonna do that. He ain't gonna say, "Hey, Hillary, come on, Judgment Day. Your example was Judy. And so I'm gonna judge you by Judy's example." No, he ain't. It's gonna be Hillary, what Hillary did, what she didn't do, with what she knew. So I don't want to know your business. I mean, if you've overcome something and you're sharing, you're trying to relate the words that I can understand so I can apply it to my life in reality, then I get that part. But nah, I don't want to know your stuff. Because I don't want to be looking at you sideways neither.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think that's a part of just call, because a lot of people don't like when you go in those other churches, they don't be telling all their life business, but for some reason we think it's necessary for us to.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know
not.
nothing
We don't.
about the Pope.
Yep, no confessions. Okay.
Right. I don't know nothing about the Pope. I don't know nothing about him. I don't know nothing about, you know, when it comes to what do they call them? What do they call their pet? I mean, their people. Not they don't call them pastors. They call them what? Um,
What are we talking about?
Catholic Church. They call them
Priests.
priests. There it is.
Bishops?
You don't know nothing about the priests. Not until somebody say that he touched me. That's the only thing that you know about them.
And that's why I said physical church hurt.
That might be the problem, though, because if that's all we know that they've done, and we can't speak for their character or anything they've been through, we can't say anything different.
Right.
For the, if that for the ones that there's a rumor, this is a rumor, and this is not true. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. I know personally, I have mixed feelings about this. I personally, when it comes to a spiritual leader of my own, I want somebody that can relate to me. I want somebody that has been through what I've been through, or I feel like I can relate to them and their story. I want to know their story. I don't want nobody that is very private and coming to me with just the positivity of everything. I don't need that. I don't want it. That's me personally. So I'd rather know. But
unpopular. I agree with you on that.
I'm not finished though. For a pastor, I don't believe that everybody in their congregation can handle that. So I don't want a pastor per se to do that. Like, for instance, like if you're running an Alcohol Anonymous class or alcohol, if you're running that class, you might be able to handle one drink. But the rest of the crew, somebody in that crew can't handle one drink.
But do you want an Alcohol Anonymous class that's run by a person who's never had a drink, though?
What I'm saying is, personally for me, if you're leading me, I would like to know what you've been through, and I would like to know that there's a connection. However, I understand that can't be for everybody, and it's better that it's not, because everybody can't handle that kind of thing. Everybody can't handle that you've had that one drink. Now I think I can, and now I'm an alcoholic because I followed you. Like it's not for I don't feel like that's for everybody, if that makes sense.
I hear you on that. I can
All right.
understand that. I'm
going to the point of understanding that.
I don't want to know everything about my pastor, but I do like to hear snippets of trials and tribulations that they have overcome, not your whole life story. I don't want to hear all of that. But if you can make it into a relatable situation, like I've heard it many times through different messages that came across the pulpit. So, where they didn't give us the whole story, but I've heard snippets of different things they have overcome. But sometimes that's needed, because it's like, okay, here I am. This is what I've been through. And look where I'm at now. And
that's what religion is based off. We're not getting the daily diary of Jesus when we're doing Christianity. We get the highlights, we get the summary, we get the lesson that's related to that situation. It's not September 14th Jesus was out getting well water. Like it's not it's not the same thing.
I just don't want. I don't like to, and I think it comes from my past experience, because when you're looking at someone, and because there's a bond or a tie that's created that I don't think is really healthy when you're looking for certain things to come from your leader, because that's a person. It's not, that person's not God. They're not, they are just that. They're a leader, and they may only be able to lead you to a certain point. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that comes from church hurt, that is a cause of church hurt, is that some leaders lead as if they are leading you all the way through from wherever your initiation is to your end. And I don't think that that's good at all, because then that means that we are entering into a bound relationship. And I ain't married to you.
Right.
So
That's really huge what you just mentioned, Hillary.
don't
It definitely
look at me
is.
like,
That's huge.
don't look at me like I'm your wife, because I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that, yo.
I'm not. And so people